What's going on, YouTube? We're back at it for another video, and today we're going to be doing the Redmane Castle guide. Now, with this video, there will be a couple of spoilers towards the end, but that's going to be something that I'll let you know beforehand. It's going to be dealing with the boss fight itself. It's one of my favorite boss fights in the game thus far, and by far, I'd highly recommend anyone at least give it one try before you actually look into it. Just get yourself the experience of the moment with this boss fight. It's very cinematic, in my opinion. And it's just a good time overall, but it's one of those you definitely don't want spoiled. You want to walk into it fresh and just experience it. Now, that being said, if you don't know where the Redmane Castle is, it's going to be on the eastern portion of the map over here at Khalid, over in the southeastern position. As soon as you get outside of this castle, you know you're in the right place next to this Lost Grace. Now, one thing to keynote about this, I tried to go back here after I've already killed the boss and, before this video, just trying to see if there was anything that I possibly missed, just comb it over one more time. For whatever reason, I guess as soon as you complete the boss fight, all the enemies disappear, and a lot of the doors that were accessible before getting to that boss fight are now inaccessible. Those doors are shut, and you cannot open them. I remember a lot of loot around or behind quite a bit of these doors. And for whatever reason, I guess if you're one of those people that ran on through and already got the boss fight over with and was possibly looking to come back later on and loot it, sadly enough, it does not look like we're going to be able to have that moment. Now, there is something at the very end of the video. If you've already done this and you can't go back and loot it, I do talk about the War Dead Catacombs dungeon just outside the boss fight area. So if you want to check that out, if you've already been through the Radahn fight, that's something there for you at the end. But on that note, we're going to get straight into the guide. Alright, so we'll jump onto our horse, and then we'll head across the bridge. Now, do be aware that there are going to be some fireballs being thrown at you from the trebuchets coming from the castle. Can be pretty devastating if they do hit you directly, but generally, as soon as you see them fire, you should be able to move to the right or the left. Just kind of stick on either side and then move to the other side as soon as they start coming at you. Now, just in front of that, we're going to have a couple of enemies over here, some of them fire breathers, and there's going to be one knight over here as well. If you do kill him, you will get some pieces of armor off this guy. Could be good for some of those melee guys out there. Now, right after we get these pieces of armor, we'll head around this little building right here, and off to the left there will be an enemy behind the rock, and then just behind this, we're going to find another one of those smithing stones. Now, from this point, we're going to head over to the right section and start heading up towards the castle itself. Now, there's going to be, I forget the name of it, the giant crossbow. Can't remember the name of that weaponry, but there's going to be one of those stationed with exploding fire bolts. You're going to want to immediately dart over to the left and then just push straight in and jump over that barricade. Take out all the enemies in this area. There's going to be no loot over here, though, but as we progress towards the gate itself, there's going to be one of those bigger boys dropping down. Should be a fairly easy kill for you, especially on horseback. Just keep kind of going with that oval strat where you kind of go underneath his legs, get a couple of hits in, or possibly just sit under there if he's just standing still. Get those hits in, and then just keep going out for that wide berth and coming back in. Keep tagging those legs, and before too long, you should have him down with minimal damage taken. But right after that, we'll start heading up, and we won't be able to get through the gate itself. No way to open it in any way. So we'll head off to the right onto this rock, and then we'll be jumping over to this wooden construction over here. Can't remember the name of that thing either, but as soon as we jump down in here, there'll be one enemy over here. We'll be able to take him down fairly quickly and then drop down this ladder, and we're going to be able to grab our next piece of loot, which is going to believe another smithing stone. We'll head back up, and do be aware that you should pull out your horse in this moment, and you definitely don't want to try and jump it without the horse. Arguably you probably could make it without the horse, but sometimes mistakes are made. But as we progress up the path, there's going to be a couple of bats up here. There's going to be two more just up ahead of us. Should be fairly easy to just one-shot them from the horse. And around this corner, there's going to be another jump that we're going to need to make. There's a little hole right here, so be aware of that. You definitely don't want to make the mistake of having to fall down that and then just go all the way back through all that. But in this graveyard, there's going to be another one of those scarabs giving us Ash of War over on the left side, and there's another type of bat. It's the one that's like humanized that sings occasionally. It'll always drop one of those gold runes. But from that point, we'll head up the ladder. We'll be able to see an enemy over on our left side, easily sneak over, sneak attack him, and then on our right's going to be one more enemy. Now, just beyond him, on the right, there's going to be another enemy that we can sneak up on very easily, just take him out as quick as possible. And then we've got a knight over here. Now, I absolutely hate knights in this game. Apparently, parrying is one of the best counters for these guys, but since I'm using a greatsword, that's not actually an option. But we still get the job done. Now, right after that, there's a ladder right behind that knight. We'll just go on and slide down that, and be aware there will be a dog down there, so you'll want to make sure you slide all the way down as quick as possible. That way you don't start getting tagged by that dog down there. But right after we take out this dog, we'll head over to the left. There's going to be an opening right here. We want to immediately jump over to this as quick as possible. It's going to be quite a bit of enemies in here, so just clear it on out. And then the number one thing that we're going to do in here, besides grab that piece of loot, is open up this door. That way we don't have to keep going up that ladder, and just in case we die up ahead, because it will be a minute before we get another Lost Grace. But we're going to pick up a cookbook right there. And in this next room, we've got another one of those flaming crossbow guys. So be aware of that before you jump down there. This guy can be a real pain, and sometimes does not like to get staggered. You hit him twice, he'll stagger twice, and then next thing you know, he'll just put you into that corner and get you pretty quickly. But luckily enough, we opened up that doorway, so we'll be able to get back in, finish him off, get that revenge, and then out in this courtyard, we're going to see 2 lions. Now from this point, we'll just kind of go over to the right. You don't really have to sneak, and we'll just head up these stairs over on our right side. It's going to be another piece of loot up here. Can't exactly remember what it was. I believe it may be another smithing stone. Not just another gold rune right here. Now right after that, we're going to head back over to the left of the door that we came in from. And we're going to sneak our way up to this doorway on our left side. Now we're going to use this doorway a little bit later on to help us out with those lions, but in the back of this is going to be another cookbook in this room. Now from this point, we'll go off to the left, we'll jump out to the left. As you'll notice, we have another piece of loot over there in between the 2 lions. You want to aggro them, try to survive, and then just run back to that doorway that we just got that cookbook from. And from this doorway, we should be able to make quick work of these guys. They'll constantly be attacking you. And one thing to note is that they can hit you through that doorway, so you want to back up. But each time you kill one of these, you're going to get one of those sombering smithing stones, or I believe that's somber smithing stone. Getting lost with the names of it these days. But they also will be able to hit each other with their own damage, so it should make quick work of them as they double up right there, and then you'll only have to deal with the one through the doorway. Then heading out to the left, we'll grab that other somber smithing stone. And from that, we'll head back to where we saw, or where we went up that staircase. And just off to the left of that, we'll roll through these boxes. There's going to be 2 enemies behind it, so be aware of that. But from that point, we'll head up the stairs and then immediately take a right up these stairs. And to our left in this doorway, we're going to find a room that doesn't have anything in it, but we'll head up the ladder inside of that. And up here, there's going to be another one of those pumpkin heads. It's going to be fairly easy to take down. The common pumpkin head is very easy, but at the other end of that area, we're going to find another one of those great swords, and just to the left of that, we're going to find another gold or another smithing stone. Just after that, we'll head up behind us, just to the left of the ladder we came up, and there's another area that we'll need to head up onto and find another smithing stone. Quite a few of those smithing stones out here, but from that point, we'll head back down the ladder, go back to the area that we just came from, and off to our right is going to be a lot of flame turrets. You'll essentially want to hug the right wall, make sure that you can just, or wait until they stop firing or just ceased firing. You'll be able to pull the first guy off and kind of pull him across before, or instead of having to go in front of these 3 turrets, just wait for them to stop firing and then move along the left side, and you'll be able to clear all of them out. Now, this is the point where we're going to hit the next Lost Grace. Over on our left side, after we take these enemies out, we're going to have the first Lost Grace location. Goodness, my editing skills. Well, we left that whole fight sequence in. But over here on the left-hand side of this room is going to be that Lost Grace. We'll grab that up, and then we'll just head immediately back out and take out the remaining enemies. Now, from this last flame turret, you'll just need to sit off to the right side and then just wait until he stops firing. Take him out fairly quickly, but up this staircase on our left, we're going to find another smithing stone. There's only going to be 3 enemies in this area. Fairly easy. You could arguably keep sitting at that Lost Grace and kind of farming these guys for a little bit if you wanted an extra level or 2, or possibly just collect some runes. Fairly simple right there to keep spawning every time you sit at the Lost Grace. Now up here on the right, we're going to have another one of those robots. Do try not to get consumed by it if you do try and face it, but you won't get anything other than the runes from killing it. But the easiest way is to simply just run right past it and just get hit or head straight into the doorway itself. There's no reason to even bother with it. And in this room, we'll have one of those wet blades, I believe just to increase our ability when it comes to the blacksmithing and upgrading our weapons. But as soon as we head up that stairway, we're going to have 2 archers on our left, and there's possibly sometimes 2 archers across this bridge. After we take them out, we'll head up the stairs over and into this rooftop area. And there will be 1 archer, another spearman, and then a knight as well. You'll be able to pull out the archer, wait for him, just stand over next to this wall, pull him over, and as soon as you attack him, the other guy will aggro. This way you don't have the aggro of the knight and these 2 enemies. You'll be able to take these 2 out and then easily sneak up behind this guy. And I mean, makes quick work of this knight. You'll see it right here before you. You just sneak up, get that sneak attack in on him, and you'll be able to delete him fairly quickly. Use some of those special moves you've got, and the amount of damage you've hit him with will be able to stagger him to the ground down to his knees. Easily 2-shot him. Now, we'll also have a chest over here on the left side. I believe this is going to give us another smithing stone. Quite a few smithing stones out here. Point, we'll head back to the Lost Grace, and we'll get ready for a double boss fight. Now, some people don't have this double boss fight. If you already got to the city of Nokron before getting to Radahn somehow, I'm not sure how you do it, but I know some people that have done this before and not had this double boss fight. But if you haven't done that already, and you do wind up going to get this boss fight before getting to the city of Nokron, since somehow it gets unlocked from this, but somehow you can unlock it before. Not exactly sure how that works, but some people have different playthroughs. It's quite astounding with how much detail is in this game. But essentially, with this double boss fight, there's 1 boss in here that's going to be the second boss in it that is very frustrating and pretty much 2-shots me every time. The reason I'm naked is I was just telling chat that the armor did nothing for me. It didn't even matter whether or not I wore it. Every time the guy hit me, it was just pretty much I'm getting 2-shot. But the first guy, you just want to get up straight into his face. He's fairly easy. If you've already dealt with this guy at a previous castle, you'll know what I mean. He staggers pretty easy, and since we have the summon with us, you'll just keep being able to stagger him. As long as you keep applying that damage, you'll get him down onto his knees and be able to finish him off within pretty much less than a minute. Very easy in this moment, and all I'm using is the jellyfish just because it has that ranged attack. That way, doesn't matter. I'm not, constantly clustering with that summon at the time. Now, the Crucible Knight. Absolutely hate this guy. He is extremely aggro. He may not be as fast as some of the other guys, but with that shield, I just hate knights in this game. He can be a bit of a pain to deal with. Now, in this moment, a lot of times he will generally kill your summon fairly quickly, but you notice he's got pretty much the same moves, all dealing with you pretty much needing to use the strategy of constantly dodging or dodge rolling to the left of him, towards him. That's generally the best strat that I had with a lot of his moves. Now, in some moments, like in that moment, it doesn't help you out, but that's because he was a bit further away from us, constantly getting aggroed by the jellyfish behind us. But you notice every time he does that 2-swing move, you'll be able to get another hit in on him. There's a couple of other moments you can get a hit in on him, but since I'm using a great sword, it's not as fast as some of the other weapons, but by the time you get him to the halfway health point, he will grow wings and he will grow a tail, which is very frustrating, and he's going to combine it with a lot of his moves. Now, let's start talking about some of his moves. This is going to be one of those moments where I'm really going to need to dodge him. That one's going to be a bit of a delay right there, but you'll notice now he's starting to swing that tail in with some of his combos. But when he does that ground stop and then slams the sword down, he'll do 2 swings, and in the end of those 2 swings, if we keep dodging to the right of him, we'll be close enough to get one of those hits in. Now, he'll also do one of those double tail swings where the second tail is going to be going out a lot further. You're going to need to time that one right. But yet again, we've got another one of those moments where we're going to be able to dodge those 2, then get off to the right of him and be able to get that swing in. Now, that's pretty much what we're waiting on, and a lot of times, since I didn't know that I could sprint in this game, that moment and when he did the flying wings moment are the only 2 moments I could usually get a health pot in if I did take 1 hit. As you'll notice, I'm pretty much 1 shot at this moment. If I get hit 1 more time, it's over. But lucky enough, he does that wing moment, and then I was able to quickly get that health pot before dodging those 2 rolls or those 2 tail hits. But as you'll notice, we'll finally get that final hit once he does the stomp move. Now, we came very close here, somehow dodged that stomp move, and then boom, boom, we're straight in. That's when we get our last hit in. That was pretty much my tactic the whole time with that guy. The best way to actually combat with him is going to be able to use a shield and parry him. That apparently is the best way to mitigate his aggroness and get a lot of damage in on him and stagger him, essentially. But from that fight, we'll get this legendary colossal sword. Apparently, it's another type of great sword. So if you don't have this, if you already went to the city of Nocturne, apparently you'll be missing out on that loot, sadly enough. But if you're not using, or if you're a caster, it won't really matter. But we'll grab up the Lost Grace right there, head up the stairway, and on our right, next to this monolith, we'll have another one of those somber smithing stones. Now from that point, we'll double back and then head over to the right, up to this little tower over here. And there's going to be an old guy that talks about the festival. That's essentially the event where we're going to fight Radahn. But from that moment, we'll need to head back over to the road to the manor, Lost Grace over here, and talk to E.G. Now, once we talk to E.G., he's going to tell us to go meet up with Wolfman, which Wolfman right now should be in the Siofra, I believe, is it? Siofra River. Now, the Siofra River is going to be in Limegrave next at this Lost Grave waypoint. That's going to be the outskirts, or the Mistwood outskirts. Now, directly east of that is going to be this building. If you have the map over here, you'll notice there's like this little dome-shaped icon over here. If you haven't found this yet, next to this tree, that's going to be our elevator, essentially, that's going to take us all the way down to the Siofra River. Now, tomorrow I'll be doing a guide on this area. It's essentially the lower section of where the Nocturne Eternal City is. But as soon as we go down that lift, we'll get on our horse and we'll head over to the left side. We'll kind of skip all the enemies in this area for right now just to get this quest going, because we can always come back here and it's not going to affect us down here. Now, from that left side, as soon as we get around that wall, over to the right, you'll see double waterfalls and an opening over here. This is going to be another lift bringing us up to the main area of the Siofra River. We'll get on horseback from this point, head directly north, or just straight ahead of us. And from this point, once we see a pillar on our left side, we'll take a left around this corner, and then we'll be able to grab up a Lost Grace. Now, from this location, we'll be able to push on to where the Wolfman is. I'll show you the location right here. He's going to essentially just be straight off to the east from us, and pretty much a straight shot for us. We'll just get on horseback. There'll be a couple of enemies on our left that you might aggro in this moment, so you want to take them out, especially since one of them is a damn good archer. I'll give it that, because he pretty much has aimbot with every arrow he has in this area. You'll notice, especially in my guide tomorrow, I'll complain about it more than a few times. But just up here on the right is going to be where Wolfman is, if you've done the quest line for Lady Ronnie. If you haven't done the quest line for Lady Ronnie, you might be in a different area, but I'm not sure about that. He may still be down there. If not, he's going to be in Lady Ronnie's tower. Now, from that point, we'll head back to the Redmane Castle itself, and now the festival should be in full swing. You'll need to immediately spawn in, talk to the Wolfman, have a little conversation with him. Now, this is going to be that moment where we're about to get into those spoilers, so if you don't want this boss fight spoiled, Now would be probably a good time to stop it right here. Just head on straight forward. You're going to go straight into the boss fight essentially, but over here on the left, we'll need to also talk to one guy before we head into this boss fight. And it's just going to give us a small cutscene that's going to give us a description of Radahn. I'm not going to show that inside of this guide. I'd rather you guys just check that one out. It's a nice little cutscene just describing what's happened to Radahn, who he is, what he's become, things of that nature. It's pretty sick. I really enjoyed this character. Kind of wish we didn't have to kill him, but it's a really nice boss fight in my opinion. But from this point, we'll just head over to the left. Goodness, those editing skills. Should have cut that moment out. We're not going to be able to go out to that right doorway, but in this little church area, we'll have another one of those smithing stones. And then from that point, we'll be taking a lift all the way down. Now, if you're still watching and you still don't want this spoiled, cut it off now. This is going to be that last moment. We're about to just head straight into it. And trust me, this is a very cinematic boss moment or boss encounter. You really want to kind of take this one in one time over before getting a guide on how to defeat the guy. Because it's very cinematic. I thoroughly enjoyed this boss fight. It's my favorite one so far through the game. Nothing has topped it for me, even though it can be a bit short once I show you the tips on how to get this guy down pretty quickly. It's an enjoyable one, especially visually. Now from this point, we'll spawn into the Wailing Dunes. We'll be in this giant sand dune area, and you'll notice some gold auras in front of us, and you'll also notice Radahn is going to be shooting some magical arrows at us. You'll want to go over and run over, not actually use the horse in this moment just particular, and spawn up all of these guys that you can possibly do right now. They're essentially going to start charging across until they get close to him. That's going to stop him from shooting those arrows. Best way to dodge those arrows is to simply wait for it to get halfway to you. Now, just after you start spawning some of these guys, he's going to shoot these raining arrows. That's when you're going to want to jump on horseback. But as soon as he gets back to the purple arrows, you're going to jump off the horseback. Now, you'll notice this is about that time when those guys have started, or that you've spawned, are going to start pushing him. They're going to start aggroing him. In this moment, the easiest way to get this done is just to get up right behind him. Get in right behind him. Like every time you see him, just lock onto that target and just try to go in from behind him. Now, if he starts to aggro on you, just avoid that damage for right now. Let the other NPCs grab his attention and then try to go for right behind him, because you're going to notice it is... I don't know what it is with the coding, but if you're right in there behind him, he just starts fishtailing. He doesn't know what to do. I mean, he's just freaking out in a way, and you're just able to get some massive damage on him fairly quickly. He just keeps going left and right. It's hilarious with that small, feeble horse underneath him. And then you'll get him to that halfway point. He just gets knocked down because you're dealing so much damage to him so quickly. And I mean, he's literally one shot now before he even did his transformation mid-moment. And then he comes down as the rocket. I really just don't even know how to describe it. I really don't even have a strong weapon right now. If you just get in right behind him, it's as easy as that. It's unbelievable. He just doesn't know what to do. I guess there's some type of coding going wrong there, where those if and while loops are just triggering in mass, and they keep going left or right as you're just right behind him. He can't really get a target locking away. But right after that fight, we'll have a Lost Grace to obtain right here in the middle of this boss area. And then we'll need to talk to Wolfman before we leave. This is going to be essential for the Ronnie questline. That way, he's not going to be here. He'll be over there doing something else, and it'll progress the quest line in a way over there. Apparently, some people can have her disappear, but you also want to talk to the jar as well. Then from the Lost Grace point, we'll head over to the coastline, and we'll ride this coastline all the way down. It's going to be pretty far. Trust me, you're going to be riding for a while until we get to this door at the very edge next to this cliffside. Now, this is going to be a high-level dungeon inside of here. I pretty much, I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't have anything that's +9 when it comes to a melee weapon, you might not be doing a whole lot of damage in here. You might get just mulched, but as soon as we come in here, there's going to be like a feud between some of these warriors in here. We'll just grab that consumable up from the middle of them and then head up the stairs on the left. There's going to be one of those glowwort. Believe that's what it's called. I can't remember exactly, but that's going to be useful for upgrading our summons. But going back to the main doorway, or from the doorway that we came in from, we'll head over to the left. You'll probably want a lantern for down here. And one thing to note about this area down here is there's going to be scarlet rot everywhere. You do want to make sure that you get through here pretty quickly, but there's going to be a chest at the left end of this that's going to give us a new type of spell. Now, from that point, we'll head back pretty much from where we came, but over to the left side. There's going to be an area where we'll have a couple more of those golems over there. Generally, you won't aggro those guys. They'll just be feuding with each other, but as soon as we get inside of here, we'll be able to kill. There's going to be one on our left side, and there's going to be one on our right, and one further to the right that'll be stationary until we attack it. But at the very back end of this is going to be another one of those globewarts. Now, heading back to the Lost Grace and coming back into the main room, we'll go all the way to the end of this room, and on our right is going to be a stairway going up. On the other end of this is going to be an archer. You definitely don't want to get hit by this guy. You want to make sure you get into this hallway as quick as possible, but there will be another archer. You'll see that is quite a lot of damage per shot with that, and they can take you down fairly quickly, even without the magic shot. Just their arrows are going to be devastating, but we'll push forward, dodge their attacks, and hit to this right window over here. Take out the smaller grunt soldier over here, and then kind of hide over here on the right if he's already getting ready to shoot another bow. Otherwise, you want to charge in, take him down. You can stagger him quite easily if you've got that upgraded weapon. Now, around the corner in the next room, we're going to have two enemies that are going to be sitting down, take them out fairly easily, but at the end of that hallway, we'll have another guy spawn in front of us. Quickly attack that guy and get him down quickly, but on our right will be a sneak attack from one guy. So you want to make sure you dodge when you're coming through that doorway, just so you don't take that damage coming in. We'll still need that health for later on, as there will be one harder enemy and then another guy that's got some special tricks. Now, at the other end of this room is going to be a spear guy. Now, as you've noticed before, some of these guys are just teleporting all over the place. This guy teleports like crazy all the time. He's not exactly that hard, and it's not hard to dodge his attacks, but with how much he teleports, this could be one of those fights that just takes a little bit longer just because he's just bouncing all over the place. But once you finish him off, get to the room where he spawns, and there's another one of those globewarts. But in the middle of that room is going to be a window on our right side if we're walking in. We'll need to jump through that, go up the stairwell on the left. It's going to be two gargoyles. Just take one of them out for now. The rest of them won't start getting active until you hit them. But we'll have this soldier guy right here that has a couple of special moves to him. He's got a bit of a magical ability, but he's easy to stagger, and he will do a little bit of teleporting, but since he's got that stagger, you should be able to keep picking at him until you finally get him down. But he'll have some rot armor on him that is pretty solid. I'm actually wearing it right now. But from that point, we'll go ahead into the room where he was, and we'll find another one of those summons, which is going to be pretty beneficial for us. But as we walk out and to the left, there's going to be a window that we'll need to jump through. This is going to be the archer from the beginning that was on that ledge as we were walking up. We'll need to take him down, and after we've taken him down, there's going to be a lever in the middle of this ledge. We need to pull that to open up the boss. But now go back over to the right side in front of that window. We've got another glowwort, and then we'll just need to jump down, go through the middle of this room, and on the left side of the middle of this room, we've got another one of those globewarts. You want to pick those up for those summons upgrades. But down that hallway at the very end of it, we're going to be into the boss fight. This guy is absolutely frustrating. I mean, he's so massive, and especially inside of this tiny room, he can essentially one-shot you by biting you in that moment. So every time you see him go up and curve around on that wall and open up his mouth at you, you're going to need to time that dodge right, because it's going to be an instant kill. Now, the rest of his attacks are fairly simple, but you'll notice, I mean, he is just whirling around everywhere, completely destroying your field of vision. If he gets you into a corner, it is an absolute nightmare. Now, best way to deal with this guy is just go in on him. Just keep dodge rolling close to him. Every time you see one of his attacks, just dodge in closer to him until he does this moment. He's going to cause some scarlet rot build up with this, but it won't be immediate that you'll start taking the damage from it. But every time he does a move after he does that explosion, if he hits you, he's going to add more scarlet rot to you, which is just going to add to the irritation of this fight in general. But as long as you keep rolling straight for him, avoid some of those moves just constantly. If you dodge close to him, a lot of times when he's doing his hand attacks, it's going to be fairly easy to dodge it. The other times he'll either use a tail swing or a neck swing, if you will, and then he'll just drop his head straight on top of you. As you'll notice right there, very easy to dodge over to the right for that one, then start getting some attacks. Sometimes he'll double it up, and then he'll start doing some other moves as well, but that's going to be the boss fight for that area. We'll also get another summon out of that guy and a golden seed, beneficial for us for the flasks going forward later on. And if you have the recipe for the Scarlet Rot, more than likely by the end of that fight, you're going to be dwindling from it. But if you need, or if you don't have that and you start getting that Scarlet Rot, you can just head back to that Lost Grace at the beginning and be able to sit down there and take it off from there instead of dying and having to come back and grab up whatever runes you may have missed from that. But he will give you a hefty amount of runes, I think close to 60,000 just off that one boss. And that's going to be the end of the Redmane Castle guide. Hopefully this helped you out, guys, especially when it comes to some of those boss fights. I know Radahn can be very irritating, but as soon as I figured out I can get up behind him and kind of just make him squirm out and just constantly taking him, or just taking away at his health without him being able to attack anybody even. It's kind of crazy. It's just one of those moments as soon as I noticed, once I got up behind him and was trying to like stay underneath him, it just worked out really well in one of those fights. Tried it the next one, and you saw the gameplay footage of it. It was even quicker than I expected it to be. But on that note, if you'd like to see some of this content live, obviously hit that link down in the description. Follow me over at Twitch. I'm streaming daily, and we'll be doing a lot of Elden Ring for the next couple of weeks, as well as new content coming out for Elden Ring. More of these guys will be coming in the coming week as well. If you'd like to see more of that, hit that subscribe button. But on that note, hope you guys enjoyed this, and have a good one.